There we are.
There we are. Okay. So today we'll be having a conversation with Phil Bliss about his experience in the tech industry and his 35-year history being a pioneer, a true pioneer in the field, an innovator. And I know you've started and sold multiple companies. You've done some pretty jaw-dropping things over your tenure, and I just want to ask a few questions about that.
Okay.
So I'm thrilled to be here with you today and learn more about your story.
Okay.
But Phil, when was the first time that you realized that you had a talent for strategy and an interest in technology?
Well, I went to GM school originally, but that was mechanical stuff. So, and I kind of enjoyed it. I just didn't like working in the dealership network, so I left and went back to school. And I guess the next time, and I didn't do technology, I did a degree in English, but I specialized in media, so I ended up being in a TV studio, both shooting and editing. So that was when I kind of started playing with stuff that was pretty analog in those days, but it was technical. Mm-hmm. And then I just moved into the technology side because I've always understood what engineers are talking about for some reason or other, and that was pretty rare. So I mean, back then and today even, one of the benefits is I can take very complex technical ideas and what I term language them into realizable products. Mm-hmm. So I found by the time I was 35, I found that I could do that, and then I ended up doing it for Microsoft, Cisco, Okay, so that was it.
Yeah. So you were about 35 years old when you realized, like, okay, I have a talent for this. I can simplify these complex ideas in my mind.
That's right. And there wasn't that many people around at the time that could do that. So it was actually a good time to have a skill that hadn't been defined, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you may have covered this already, but what was your first job in the actual tech industry? Like what?
My first job was really, I was very fortunate in Edinburgh that one of my dad's best friend they didn't have kids, and I got kind of brought into the business, and it was a technology business. I mean, we did contract software, we had contract software groups, we sold Memorex in Europe, we sold what was then, I forget which one, I think it was Litton Adler, the old accounting machines, and we took in really what was the sort of predecessor of the PC, which was the Xerox Diablo system, which was actually the first sort of intelligent, in terms of processor-based accounting system. Mm-hmm. So it had. I mean, we all know. I think Xerox invented Windows, not Microsoft, and that was what they invented it for. It actually had the precursor of Windows on it. So.
What year was this? Just to give.
That would be probably 78, 79.
Yeah, so there. Ahead of your time.
a little bit ahead of our time. Yeah. Well, we were dealing with mainframes and mini computers. Then the PC wasn't out. Then it hadn't really emerged at that point. As I said, the Diablo was probably the first sort of almost solid state accounting system. So yeah.
That's really, it must have been exciting for you, right? So that leads us well into the next question. What do you get most excited about? What's your passion? What excites you about this field, and what do you really love?
My passion is art, okay, and literature and media. So that's what excites me in terms of personal thing.
Yeah.
My passion for the work is that it's innovative. If there are very many times that technology, a product is looking for a problem, but occasionally you meet something that is a product that is solving something really and that's when it gets exciting. So you find that, and you think, holy crap, this is going to change the universe as we know it, kind of thing. And that was certainly the excitement of the PC, the excitement of applications like, believe it or not, Word and Excel, which are just, those things changed the way we did things. And then that was the 80s, really, late 80s, early 90s. And then mid 90s, the internet arrived. Well, for some of us, I had my first email account, I think, on CompuServe, and I think it was 89. But the internet was around then, but it wasn't at the point. It was really the late 90s where that took off. Mm-hmm. But I was through that curve. So I was in it from 89, and it took off in really 98.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that's really interesting is you like art and literature, and I know you really love words too. Yeah. But what is so relevant about that is that perceptible, even like you say that we're creators and producers at our core, and that's what excites you, like that ability to innovate and create.
That's right.
And relate it back to the art.
We're here, there's a great blog, Never Stop Marketing, and that's what we're all about. Mm-hmm. And to do that, you need to know those three things that we talk about: strategy, content, technology. Mm-hmm. You can't market in today's world unless you understand how those mesh together. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool.
All right, so Phil, I know you've done a couple off-the-wall things in your pioneer and cowboy days, but what's the craziest thing that you've ever?
There's a few crazy things. I think the craziest thing has got to be a lion, bringing a lion into the convention center downtown. That was kind of nuts. I mean, it was a lion, not a lioness, and it wasn't in a cage. It was on a lead, okay, and we just arrived with it. We didn't ask, and it was fine. It was a hit. Everyone thought it was great, and the lion had eaten the proverbial 4 hours before, so he wasn't hungry. So that was good, and we got him out of there, and that was fine. And then we got banned from the convention center for 6 months. But in those days, we were such a big event company that they took us back fairly quickly.
What company was that with?
That would have been with Group Multimedia.
Group Multimedia, and were you holding the lion? Or did you have a lion?
Oh no, the handler held the lion. No. Yeah. I was on stage with it, but the handler.
Yeah, but it was your decision to bring it in. It was more of like a PR.
Well, it was sort of part of the. It was it was actually AST Computer who we took to #1 in Canada, and we just launched a campaign called Bravo for Business, and it was about the bravery, the Bravo name, and the lion was like the lion was the king. Okay, so that was kind of all the press and the dealers and all of that people, and that was the big surprise.
Yeah.
That was it, and it was the lion was from. It was a movie they did. I can't remember what it was called, and it was a real thing. It was fun. Yeah. There's been other things, but that probably has been the fun.
The memory that stands out.
That was probably the most dangerous. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it definitely is a great story to tell now, and something that probably made a name for you back in the day.
Yeah. I was kind of known as doing things and then asking for a permission. I don't think it's as easy as today to get away with that.
Yeah.
That was 25 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Today you'd be arrested.
Different world. Yeah. I'd have been called a terrorist today. No, sorry, I didn't mean
that. So tell me about your biggest achievement in the tech industry and your greatest innovation. Something you're
my biggest achievement.
So proud of.
My biggest achievement is probably being, coming to Canada and being married for almost 40 years to the same woman and having 2 brilliant kids. That's probably my biggest achievement. I always, if you've got that, lucky to have that kind of life, it goes on top of everything else. My biggest achievement in business is. My biggest achievement in business is not an event, it's not standing still. I think I was at the forefront of, what we call digital marketing then. It was desktop publishing in the first instance, and I was there right at the beginning. Yeah. In fact, launched the Desktop Publishing Association, which was kind of a bit of a cloak to launch the Mac in Canada, with Adobe and Apple and Heidelberg Press and Linotype. So it was taking all of the components of printing in those days, and putting a computer in the middle of it. And so it's always been, at that, not only launching it, but using it, being ahead of the game, and then, developing products. I think the biggest commercial achievement is building an agency up to about 40 odd million in revenues as a private company, and developing products and taking it public. Didn't have a good end to the story, but the beginning and the middle were really good. Yeah. So that's probably it. That's kind of fun. We started it with a credit card. That was my line of credit. I had a credit card account for about $20,000, and that was it. That was how the agency began. That was
Group Multimedia. Yeah. And then to get it to where that's an achievement. Like, that's something.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one. Mm-hmm. So we made a name for ourselves, and we had a client list. It was every major technology name that's still around today. We had.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I've seen the the old book. I don't know what it's called.
They're all that. So I think that's
pretty impressive.
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And I just used to pick up the phone and speak to the CEO.
Yeah.
Including speaking to Mr. Gates and speaking to Mr. Chambers, right? John Chambers. Yeah. So that's...
that experience is just
it was fun.
Something you carry with you forever, right?
Yeah.
So what was a pivotal moment in the history of tech that was most exciting for you and your company? Like, something that you guys are probably really busy, but something really pivotal.
It has to be the internet. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the PC was pivotal at the time it was launched because it changed everyone's working habits, changed the way they work. But until the internet, that kind of communication was still kind of kept mainly behind four walls. Mm-hmm. With the internet, all of a sudden, all of the abilities that people were picking up on PC could be transferred across the world, and so that was really it had to be the internet, and it still continues to be, good and bad at the side of it, changing the world. It's not finished.
Yeah.
By a long haul. I don't know whether it's for the good or the bad at the moment, but it's still changing.
Yeah. And it certainly keeps evolving your business, and always has. So, so what were some of the biggest challenges that you felt being a pioneer and in the field and an innovator? Like, how did you feel?
Education. I think the problem, certainly in the early days, it really was pioneering. People just didn't know anything. Okay, so it was very hard to get them to understand it. And change. I don't know when that kind of, watershed happened, when all of a sudden everyone adopted it. It was way before the millennials arrived. It probably was, in fact, the boomers. I mean, much as everyone maligns the boomers, they were the ones that really brought in, the pioneers that brought in the digital world that we live in, and made it bigger and easier, and that's the nuts and bolts of it. So I think with the internet, and I think in the internet, the thing that changed the world, it wasn't Facebook. I think commercially, the thing that changed the world was e-commerce. Unfortunately, it's closing down a lot of retail even today. I don't know how some things have held on. That's another conversation, but it's very, it's very dramatic. And the next 2 years on the retail front are going to be very dramatically bad, except if you're doing it online.
Oh, you mean for the box store?
The box stores, the shopping malls, those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's a tough hole at the moment.
Yeah, they're even they're doing virtual augmented reality for marketing now in e-commerce. So yeah, it's always changing. So what would you say to someone considering entering the technology industry or starting their own tech company with the experience that you have?
Education is everything. I think if the first thing is get educated, know it. Otherwise, you've got no chance. It's not just a song and a prayer. I mean, it's easy to dive in, but and there were many people of my generation that dived in because they got it, and at that point, education was optional because the educational institutions didn't get it. Today, that's different.
It's not the case. So you need letters behind your name to
absolutely yeah and I think
succeed.
You absolutely do.
And what do you think other people who are outsiders in the field should know about tech?
Well, you can't know everything about tech, which is sort of why organizations like Perceptible exist. But I think it's really important that people keep aware of it. I mean, a business is going to fail if it hasn't kept aware of it. And that doesn't just mean retail. That means you've seen it. You've seen businesses in small towns and stuff like that, and big cities that have disappeared because they didn't change. Yeah. So really, you can't bury yourself. It's just a prevailing thing, and if you don't stay with it, it will eat you and spit you out. Basically.
Yeah. Good words of wisdom. What product or service do you believe would not be here today if it weren't for you and your pioneering innovations?
Product or service wouldn't be here. I think applications. I mean, digital marketing wouldn't be here if we hadn't set off with digitizing the first level of that, which was publishing, and then into websites, and now into much more complex infrastructure. But that's how it came. So I think they're really the most. I mean, that's why I like being in it. I think one of the most innovative areas is marketing. And is that sort of combination of content and technology to do business, any type of business, and that's really interesting because yes, we've been doing it for a decade, but I think really we've been doing we're only just getting to sophistication, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So it's just more and more technical. That's really it.
So last couple questions for you, but I know you're a dreamer and you have some really big ideas. And what would be next on the horizon? What's your dream?
What's my dream next? What, the personal dream or the industry dream?
The personal dream, and your dream for business. Your business. Well,
the personal dream is to take the Perceptible brand and make it kind of internationally recognized. That's really it in the areas that we play in, which are really, marketing, media, content, if you want to call it, and technology, or the integration of those three things. Yeah. So, and that's what we're about. We're not messing around, so the world had better watch out because we're kind of coming to shake it a little bit. So that's what we're doing.
And what do you think is at the forefront for the tech world, like AI capabilities? What do you think is next?
Well, I'm kind of working with one group. I think AI. AI is artificial intelligence. It's just a high-powered version of the computing we've already known. I think once we move into sort of true autonomy, I'm working with one group at the moment on that, where we're actually moving from machine intelligence into human intelligence that is driving the machines. At the moment, we have machine intelligence driving the machines. That's not really that effective. Autonomous driving vehicles keep running into things and doing things like that. When you move into human intelligence, layering on the autonomy or automation, then you move into a completely different thing. So I think, we'll be moving more into that real intelligence side of things that will, AI is still a great thing, but that will actually make AI move into being decision-based intelligence, which it isn't at the moment.
Yeah, and do you think there's a danger to that? I know there's a lot of hesitation.
Well, it's the danger, and I hope the Boeing guys won't mind. The danger is the kind of those kind of accidents where the machine overwhelms the device, if you like. I'd rather have a layer of a human autonomy layer over and above that, because it should negate that, or at least should negate it by about 85%, which gives you a much more accurate thing.
Yeah.
So that's really that's really the problem. So that I think, are we going to live in a world where intelligent machines take over from human beings? Probably. You can take that if you're scary or not, but at least if you put in human intelligence in front of it, maybe they're not going to kill us all. They're probably going to get along with us, so that's fine.
Well, on that note, is there anything else that I haven't asked you that I should have, or that you want to share?
Not really. No, I think this sort of. I think we need to get people just generally need to talk more about technology, and about the effects of it, instead of burying themselves in it or running away from it.
Running away and being scared of change, and I think that's a bigger human problem.
I would rather be talking about how we can use data and human intelligence to improve the human condition, which it can, and we're not doing that. We're using it more to do defense and this and that, rather than improve the human condition. So that, if you want, that's sort of a focus that I want to go in. So that humankind is actually in a pretty precarious state. It's got nothing to do with automation. It's got to do with lack of money and lack of funds. Maybe we can improve that.
I think that sounds like another conversation that we can have in the future. Right? Thank you very much for being,
thank you
for talking.
It was fun. Okay.
Thanks.